Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday, the whatever day this is. I can't keep track on my
Well,
calendar.
isn't it the first Monday of the new year?
No, that was last Monday
Oh, was
because
it?
we are recording on a Wednesday and it's the 5th.
Oh, hold on. Yes.
Do the
I was
math.
thinking it still was. Oh, yeah, that was the third. Dang it. I was thinking the third was a Wednesday. I'm all crazy with my days. So,
It's
you know
fine.
how it is. Those first few weeks, like from Christmas to New Year's, like it takes so much time just to get back into the groove of things. So,
It does. So I saw a meme out there somewhere where it's like, this is the hardest week of the whole year. And I feel like it is because you're like trying all these new things, trying these new habits and routines, or it's not even really a new routine, even if you're trying to get into the old routine again. You take 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's, and it's
yep.
just like
Shambles.
torture. Yeah,
It's shambles. Life is in shambles. Like there
exactly.
is no routine, and then you're like, I'm gonna get it together.
One of these days I'll have it together.
Yes.
That's what I tell myself every morning. Today's the day you're gonna have your shit together, Whitney.
I
And
happen
then I
to be
don't.
more motivated in January. I do love Mondays. And I don't just say that because it releases on Mondays. I tell this to Whitney every Monday. I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
like Mondays. It's the start of a new week, it's fresh. Then when it's the start of a new year, it's even more exciting.
Do you also hate lasagna?
No.
Because if you hated lasagna, I would call you the anti Garfield. Because
Oh,
Garfield
yes.
hates Mondays and loves lasagna.
Okay. Nope. I like lasagna.
So you're just like medium Garfield then.
Yes. Medium Garfield.
Okay.
We
Okay.
agree on some things, we disagree on others.
That's life.
Yep.
We
Yep.
found the
That's fair.
secret to life right
So
there.
we did. And my wine is going to talk about that a little bit too, which is really cutesy. But we've had some announcements before we get into the wine.
Yes. Our announcements are that we're going on tour. If you
Woot
didn't hear
woot.
last week, this week we're going to let you know that we are going on tour with True Consequences,
Yes.
True Crime IRL, and Generation Y. And we will be in Colorado Springs and
Hmm.
Littleton and Denver and at your grandma's house. No, I mean, not your grandma's house, the grandma's house.
Yes.
Check out
Like
Eventbrite.
seriously though,
For real.
it's called Grandma's house.
It is.
Yeah.
It's super intriguing. I can't wait to go. I want
I
to see.
can't
I
wait.
hope there's like cross stitching on the
Oh my
walls and
gosh.
like little tchotchkes everywhere and
Hmm.
like mismatched plates. Like I feel
Things you're
like
not, things you cannot touch at all.
yes, and like wallpaper with also a border on top
Oh my gosh, I remember
of
those
like
days.
grapevines or maybe like hearts,
Yep.
you
Or
know,
bears, like
or
teddy bears.
bears. Bears. If you know what, if we can't get the bears there though, while we're in Colorado Springs, we're gonna go up to Woodland Park and have breakfast at the Hungry Bear, which is the best bear you can get.
Okay. We went there once with you. It's
We
amazing.
did. It's the best.
I'm excited. It's going to be a fun trip. That is in February,
Yep.
10th through the
13th.
13th.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, it's 4 days, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. Yes.
Yes.
Go to Eventbrite. Just search that
Talk
area, I'm
murder to
sure.
me.
Oh,
If you
yes.
just type in murder, it's like the second one down because there's a murder mystery tour and then we're second.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
how
they
I
need to
find
have
it.
their event so we can jump ahead of them.
I think theirs is this month, so it should bounce off there pretty quick. Tickets have been selling. It is
I
a
know.
restricted amount of tickets per night because we're getting like an offshoot of the main venue. We're going to have like a little room. It'll be kind of COVID safe, yet
Intimate.
private, semi private, I guess you could call it. So, some nights we're only going to have 50 tickets. One night we're going to have 200 tickets. So keep that in mind. Tickets are going pretty
Way
steadily.
quicker than I anticipated.
Yes.
So, especially with the holidays, I was like, oh, we're probably not going to start getting sales until January.
Yeah.
But nope.
Nope. Just kidding.
Yeah. We've got a great lineup and then a meet and greet afterwards. So, we are
Yep.
very excited about that.
That we are.
We had one other announcement. Thursdays, write this down in your calendar.
Yep.
Whitney and I are going to be going live every Thursday on like every single platform that is known.
Yeah. So we're going to go live through our new recording platform, I guess you could call it. Well, we're trying out a couple of things, so you might have to bear with us the first couple of lives because we're not quite sure what we're doing. This is new to us too.
Hey, and you guys know how we roll. We just try things out. We don't know what we're doing, but we figure it out in the end.
Exactly. So we will be live for sure on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our TikTok, but it'll be a separate feed. So you're gonna have to bear with us on reading all the comments on both devices. We're trying to figure it all out, but it's gonna be fun. And every Thursday for the next, I don't know, foreseeable future. We don't know yet. If no one shows up, Melissa and I are just gonna hang out on a live and until y'all get sick of seeing our live things, and then y'all come hang out with us.
Just scroll past if you don't want to, but join us. We're just gonna be chit-chatting. That's
having a drink.
Yeah.
Nothing formal or crazy. We might, who knows? You never know what we might do.
We might have guests on. We might. Yeah. Talk about cases. Sometimes we might not even talk about true crime.
Yeah. We might talk about,
agriculture.
We could talk about the cash crops we see on our journeys.
Because apparently we're obsessed with that.
Apparently. That's a thing for us now.
Yes. You never know. But all right, I will jump over to my wine, which is called Psyche. Okay. Nice. I went and got it today. I was super excited. I hate it when I can't find something I haven't had that like attracts my attention.
How do you spell that?
Psyck or CHE.
Ah.
Yeah.
My brain was not wrapping around the sounds to make
I know. Like
letters.
At first I was like, it's like psych, but with an E.
Yeah, I'm like, I've said this word and I've written this word before, but why can't my brain make those letters?
Yeah. Nope. I get you. Now this is where it kind of rolls into the different opinions and stuff like that, which is kind of cutesy. So it says, the sign of an advanced psyche is when someone can simultaneously hold two opposing viewpoints, driving the person to innovate, to bring new ideas together. Through this visionary process, we create Psyche, a collection of progressive wines to bring all the particular tastes together and spark cultured conversations. Like, isn't this us?
Interesting. That's us in a bottle.
I absolutely love it.
Since Snoop Dogg doesn't want to support us, maybe we reach out to them and say, listen, we are this, you are us. We are you.
Yes.
Let us
collaborate.
Be friends. Yes.
It states it's a bold wine with a big personality, which I absolutely love. And I didn't even tell you what it's a Cabernet too. Which
I assumed.
Even more like us.
Yes.
Definitely some hints of blackberries, black cherries. I'm going to give it. Have we ever done like 3/4? I would like to do 4 3/4 because I love the idea.
Listen, we can do whatever we want because we created this. So if you want to do like 4 knives plus a slice of cheese, we can do that.
We can make that happen. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to definitely do 4 3/4 of knives for this wine. I loved the idea about it. It's Cabernet, so obviously it's one of my faves right now. I definitely like it.
Perfect. I've already added it to the wine cellar. Look at me go.
Woot. Okay. All right, so Louisiana.
Before you jump into this case, though, I want to talk about this photo of this gentleman.
Oh, dear Lord. That is the only photo of that gentleman I could find on the internet.
Okay.
And he's not the bad guy.
Okay. So, have you ever seen the movie Smokin' Aces?
No.
Okay,
I've heard of it.
It's got like Ryan Reynolds and Jeremy Piven and like honestly and Ben Affleck. It's got like a whole I think Alicia Keys and there's a whole like a list of A-list celebrities that are in this movie, and it's about like this magician who gets involved with like this drug kingpin, and long story short, whatever. There's a guy in the FBI that works as part of the FBI from a long time ago, and he looks like that dude.
Oh, okay. For those that are just listening, this is Thomas Hotard, and it is a very grainy photo, and it's like an older gentleman that's wearing glasses. Like it's black and white. It's a very old school photo. It is literally the only photo I can find of him online. And I mean, I've got a bunch of her. You can see we have Audrey Moate right here, and
Mm-hmm.
she's absolutely stunning. A lot younger, you can tell. But we're gonna get into all this crazy drama of this crazy case.
Okay.
All right, so we are going back to the 1950s for this one. And what bothers me the most, really, about going back this far is that most, if not all, people involved are probably dead. And yes, finding out who committed these awful crimes would be amazing, but like justice not getting served kind of like a punch in the gut to the families, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, because most likely the murderer in this case like lived their whole lives, like didn't, just went about their lives, while like so many people's lives changed after this day on November 24th of 1956.
Oh, wow.
And this happened in a town called La Place, and that's capital L-A, capital Place, in Louisiana.
Can you do a Louisiana accent?
Oh God, no. Yeah, right. Oh,
Some
they've just,
Creole?
yeah, not ever happening.
Okay.
All right. So Louisiana, I mean, I don't know if in my mind I know for sure, is it's unlike any other place in the United States.
It
With
truly is. It
it is,
is
yeah.
such a melting pot of cultures.
Yes, yes. With its swamps and all the water there. I mean, honestly, it's quite scary place as well.
Yeah. The
The
alligators.
food is to die for. I absolutely love Cajun food.
Cajun is in my top three
It
foods.
is in my top three.
Yeah.
Like in the last few years is when I'm like, I just absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
The culture there is like something you need to immerse yourself in to kind of like understand it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
At some point, we're going to do a case in Louisiana, near NOLA or something. We've got to do
I
something
agree.
just for the
I
food.
don't like love New Orleans. Like it's not like my top pick of cities, but like if I went down to food only, like if I was rating a
Yeah.
city on food, it would be in my top
Yeah.
five.
Like a good like etouffee followed
Yes.
up by some beignets.
Yes.
That's like if I were on death row, I feel like I would request beignets.
I agree. I'm right there with you. So really, La Place is really no different than the majority of Louisiana. And you can kind of see here in the picture, and I know this map is small. I mean, I don't know if you can enlarge it, but it's kind of right along the Mississippi River. It's very swampland. There are about 30,000 people that live in the town.
So decent. I feel like it's a decent sized town.
It is. I mean, it's not too far from New Orleans at all. Like, I think I read like 30 miles from
Oh,
New Orleans. Like, it's really, really
just like a
close.
hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yes, yes. So the port of South Louisiana's headquarters is there, and then a bunch of oil industry jobs are there as well. They've got like all of the major oil companies are down there as well. Because
Because
it's
that can't be far from the Gulf.
no, it's right on the Gulf. Yeah. And then, well, it's on like a couple of huge lakes as well, but like everything is like surrounding water there. I couldn't tell like, the actual Gulf from like a lake that, drains into the Gulf or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, lakes don't drain into things, but
They don't, but
yes.
yes.
But yeah, but like everything is so just wet. You've got all these swamps and these rivers and these
Mm-hmm.
marsh. Like it's just crazy down there. So, La Place honestly is just your normal small town in America, which I say every
You
single
say that
week
every week.
because
Every
it is.
town
I mean, it's
is a
like
normal town in America.
it's the blue collar jobs, just families. It's nothing crazy ritzy. It's just families making a living and living their lives. And to me, that is small town America.
Yeah.
So here we
Oh,
have.
she's beautiful.
Oh my God, she is so like she looks like an actress from the 50s.
Yeah, this is iconic 50s fashion. She's got what are those curls? Like
I have no
the,
idea
I
what
forget,
they're
oh
called.
gosh. But it's like makes a heart-shaped face. Like they're so beautiful.
Yes. And she like dresses so exquisite. Like she is on point. So her name's Audrey. Was recently divorced and she was a mother of three. She was 31 years old at the time of her disappearance. Like literally the day she disappeared was her birthday.
Aw.
Yes. Her daughter, in one of the interviews, stated that she was a very loving and giving person, and as a female, she was ahead of her time.
Of course she
So
was.
this makes me like already love Audrey because back in the 50s, life was much different for women, and it was very difficult to go outside of that norm. So
Yeah.
the fact that even though Audrey's daughter hadn't seen her or hasn't seen her, in a very, very long time, for one of the main things that she remembers about her is the fact that her mom was like this sort of feminist for that time period. I love it. Love it. So Audrey worked at Kaiser Construction Company. She also, so there's reports that she also worked at this plant as a safety person, but like based on my research, I think she may have worked there like part time as doing like CPR classes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she worked there full time because she worked at the construction company full time.
Hmm.
But with her being a single mom, I mean, obviously she kind of had to
Mm-hmm.
work outside of the home in order to pay bills.
Yeah. She might have had
Okay.
two jobs.
Yeah, yes, she probably did. I'm just hoping that they both weren't full-time jobs. I did read that she was home with her kids and in the evenings and everything like that. So,
Oh, that's good.
yes. Okay. So I was curious to see how uncommon divorce was like back in the 50s, and a little help from Google showed me that apparently it was like 2.1 divorces for every 1,000 people. So I have this chart here for those that's watching on YouTube, and then or a graph, and then it's gone up to about 3.6 out of 1,000 people in 2007, which is where this goes to, but it's actually down to about 2.5 as of now. So that's kind of exciting.
I'm
2.5
interested.
people
I'm
out of a
interested to
thousand.
see those statistics after the pandemic ends, when we're like, please take them.
So
Get out of my house.
speaking of that, like I just watched a TikTok literally earlier today, and it was a divorce attorney, and he was like, "Oh, people always want to know if right after Christmas is the busiest time." And he's like, "Just to put it this way, I have worked." He said he worked like 14-hour days. I mean, and it's the four whatever day it is in January, and he's gotten 7 new clients in 2 days.
Dang.
Yeah.
I
So I'm
see on
like,
this
oh,
art. I see on this graph here. It looks like the highest rate was during the Great Depression,
yes,
or
yes.
just
And like
after the
right
Great
after
Depression.
like the war was ending and
Yeah.
everything like that. Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. Okay, so next, and so this I don't have the same picture of Thomas because that's the only one that I could find of him.
Mm-hmm.
So Thomas Hotard was a 46-year-old safety engineer at that plant I was talking about that Audrey worked at. So she also worked in the safety area as well. So they kind of worked together. I believe this is how they met, but they both were also very active in the local scouts. She was a troop leader and he was actually the scout master for a program.
Okay.
Thomas here was married the entire time. Well, when he met Audrey and the entire time that he was seeing Audrey. So Audrey was his girlfriend. Um, this was a very well kept secret. No one knew. Not a freaking soul knew that they were together. And they were together over 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yes, a very, very long, long time. I mean, in my mind, to have an affair, that's a long time.
Well, it's a long time for it to not get leaked, I guess.
Yes, yes. And I do hate bringing up like negative aspects of the victims' lives during podcasts just because, like, yes, they made bad decisions and kept secrets. That doesn't mean that their case doesn't deserve attention. And I don't want like the public to focus on that part of it in particular. Um, but I really needed to say why they were together and what happened. And it definitely could mean, I'm not saying it could solve the case because it's obviously been since the 50s and this is still unsolved, but it could have a bearing on the case. So,
Well, it could definitely affect the outcome for sure.
yes, yes. Okay, so Thomas and, like I said, Thomas and Audrey had been lovers for like 2 years when everything turned upside down. Thomas also had children. He had a son and a daughter, and they were in their teens. Audrey's kids were a lot younger. The daughter, I think, was around 8 or 9 when she went missing, and then she had 2 younger kids after that.
Okay.
He was, like I said, very active in the community. Not only did he volunteer with Scouts, he was a volunteer with Red Cross. Just a, like, I don't want to say he was like a pinnacle of the community, but like he was a good dude. Like his wife said he was home every night. Like she never questioned what he was doing.
Well,
Um,
him and Audrey had a like interest. If he was a Boy Scout, in the slide earlier, you showed a picture of her being in the Girl Scouts.
yes, yes. So, and they were seen around town doing events like this together, but no one questioned anything else about their relationship at all.
Okay.
All right, next slide. So, on the morning of November 24th of 1956 at 7:30 a.m., just like every other Saturday before, the couple met at I can't even remember. It's they met in a parking lot of a store or something like that. And then Audrey would get into his vehicle and they would drive to this lover's lane. It's at Lake Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain. Hmm?
Yep. And that's near LaPlace.
Okay.
All right. So Audrey and Thomas told their families that they had to work on Saturdays. Like every Saturday, they had to work. And this is how the couple would get to spend time together. Like for like 2 years, they told their families they had to work. Like that is dedication. Because I'd be like, oh, I just want to sleep in. I don't want to go
Right.
anywhere, even if it was to go see my lover. Like,
Yeah. Like, nah, about that.
just I want one Saturday to myself.
Right?
You can tell we've been married a long time.
Yes.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so they drive out to this lake, they park, and this is where they went every weekend, and they just spend time together. Well, this particular Sunday or Saturday, there was a hunter and his son that kind of walked past where they were parked, and he saw that this vehicle, which was a 1953 Nash Rambler. I have a picture over here. We'll put one on social media because it looks like an amazing car.
It is, but it's like definitely a boat.
It's humongous.
It's
Yes.
so big.
So they have plenty of room to be at Lover's Lane in
Yes.
this vehicle.
They're good. They got enough space.
Yes. So a hunter had seen the car there, and he actually had seen a man and a woman in the back seat of this vehicle. So of course he like, I mean, if it was me, I would subtly walk away, kind of go back where I came from. I didn't want to like
Yeah.
obviously
Nothing to
see anything
see.
more.
Nothing to see here. Moving
Yes.
on.
So the guy does just that, and they continue on their way. But then that afternoon, he has to walk back because I doubt he was going to give up his whole hunting trip just because some people were, making
Necking
out
in the
in a
woods.
car. So that afternoon, he's walking back. The car is still there.
And he thought, dang, Gina.
Yes. But this time, the passenger door is opened. And he kind of was like, man, these people are just, taking a long time. Whatever, got to do what they got to do. But he doesn't think much more of it. And it's been probably a long day for him. So they just leave, him and his son.
Okay.
All right. The next morning, he's back at it hunting. Good God. I wonder if he has a job. Well, this is the weekend.
the
So I guess
weekend.
we could give him a break.
And it's in the South during hunting season. So
Yes.
that's what they do. People are crazy about hunting. They'll get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and go hunt, go to work at 8, get off at 5, go hunt until, 8 o'clock at night, and then come home. People are crazy about that kind of stuff.
Yes. I'm writing down the time because I kind of cannot hear you. I mean, I can hear you, but it's so faint. So I don't know if something messed
I
up.
was messing with my.
There we go. I can hear you better now.
Okay. It's 8:36. That's the time of. Never
Yeah,
mind.
25,
Ignore me.
40.
Yeah. I was messing with the sound because I was worried it was picking up my headphones in
okay.
the thing. So I thought I'd turn it down, but I don't think it was. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Is this
I was
better?
like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not, or if you're gonna have to like re-record. I mean, it's very faint, but I could hear you. So, okay, I wrote it down and I'll text you that time.
Okay. What did I say? Where
It
did you stop hearing
it's
me?
It's only like when we talked about the
hunting.
That was it.
Okay. Do you want me to
It
re-say
was
it?
only for like what?
Do you want me to re-say it?
Oh, sure. I mean, whatever you want to do, you're gonna have to do it. So.
Well, for your side of things.
Okay. So Do you just okay? You can cut off where I said like hunting. That
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a job, and then just
Yeah.
start saying what you said there.
Okay. Yeah, but people are crazy about hunting kind of stuff. Like they'll go at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go hunting until they have to go to work at like 7 o'clock at night, or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, go work all day till 5 o'clock, go hunt again all after evening until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when it's too dark to be hunting, and then go home. People in, especially in the South, are crazy
Yes.
about hunting. So
Yeah.
it
So
doesn't
not
surprise me that he was
abnormal.
there all
Yeah.
day, 2 days on a weekend.
Yeah, I agree. So he goes the next morning. The car is still there. So now he's like, hey,
Is the door still
the
open?
door is still open. So now he's like, something is up. So now he goes over to the vehicle to investigate. And this is where he finds Thomas face down, dead in the vehicle. And Audrey is nowhere to be seen. Okay. So the hunter, obviously, no cell phones. So the hunter leaves right then. He doesn't continue hunting. He goes and gets the county sheriff. And this is where the investigation begins. So Sheriff Herbert, Herbert, oh my gosh, and I totally
Hey,
wrote
Bear.
how this sounds because I would say it differently just because I say all the letters. So it's Herbert, but is it Herbert?
A bear.
Hey Bear. There we go. Hey
Without
Bear.
the H. A bear.
A Bear.
Like ABEAR.
See, English is the
A bear.
stupidest language. A Bear.
I mean,
All right.
I don't know if that's English or not, but I feel like that's how a Cajun person or like a Creole accent
Oh,
would say
okay.
it.
Okay. So he was the first one on the scene after obviously once the hunter came and got him. And he discovered that Thomas had been shot one time in the back of the head through the window of the car. The shotgun was actually, it was a shotgun. They realized this later, was placed right up against the window when it was being fired. Like literally had what is the front of a gun called?
The butt.
Is that what it's, okay.
No,
The, the where the bullet comes out. I don't know.
muzzle.
Muzzle. Okay.
I was like, it'll come to me in a second. It's a dog word.
Okay. So the muzzle was like touching the glass, and they were able to
Okay.
figure this out, which is kind of
Yep.
awesome for the
Sign
50s.
ballistics is cool.
Yes. And he was just shot straight in the back of the head, and he was oh crud, and he was lying face down. Sorry, I made a weird noise with my microphone, and it scared me. um, okay, so then as he continues to investigate, he found like scattered on the ground was the contents of a woman's purse. Obviously, there was like a wallet. I mean, just things that a
Yeah,
woman would carry.
lipstick, maybe like a mirror,
Exactly. But
tissues.
there was not the actual purse. Like he never found that. It was just like the stuff on the ground right there. Then he also noticed inside the vehicle was woman's clothing. Okay. This included a sweater,
Mhm.
underwear, a skirt, shoes, and socks. And these were all found on the floorboard of the vehicle. Okay.
So if I doing a quick inventory, she's most likely naked.
Yes, pretty close to it. I think there's reports she probably had a slip on because of the time and
Sure.
a bra, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay,
So minimal clothing, we'll say.
minimal clothing. The keys were also still in the ignition too. The car was off, but the keys were in the ignition. So obviously, this is not sounding good at all
Mm-mm.
for Audrey, like where she's at. So the first place my mind goes to in this is did Thomas was killed, or sorry, she killed Thomas in some kind of argument or something like that, or was there a jealous ex or even his wife? That's where I go, always the husbands and wives. But the fact that she's missing and he's dead, obviously I would
I would
point to
lean
her
more
first.
towards her husband, ex-husband, ex, yeah,
That's
ex-husband,
true.
because she was
And because
divorced.
how would she just bring a shotgun with her? Like you would see that.
Yeah, and
Like if
like, did she get out of the car, walk around and shooting? Like,
oh, that's true. Yes. I mean, unless like he was in there, they were having a fight, she got out and then shot
and
him
he
from the
stayed
outside.
in the car and sat like,
I know. Yes, I know.
like to me that
Far-fetched.
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense because
It,
really she
it's
didn't
one of
do
those
it.
theories that's way out there, you know?
Yes. But I think at initial instinct, when you knew a man and a woman were together, the
Mm-hmm.
woman is no longer there, but the man is still there. Like
Sure. Absolutely.
at first, but then once you find her clothes and
Mm-hmm.
you see her purses scattered, and there's going to get even more information will be revealed that she really had nothing to do with this.
So at this point, do they think that it might be a robbery gone wrong?
No, because he had it, well, his car keys were in the car. They would have stolen the car. He still had his wallet with credit cards and um
And she's missing, not her wallet.
yes, not her wallet, just her.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so then as like all law enforcement are getting there, roping off the area and everything like that, law enforcement find small barefoot prints in the mud. And they were able to tell that this person was running because of how wide the strides were. It wasn't like normal walking strides. It was like, hauling butt
Yeah.
strides.
It's like you have to be 17 feet tall
Exactly.
or.
Or you're like galloping and you're like
Yes.
whoosh like a gazelle is what I think of. So they found those, and then like right behind those were these huge men boot prints, like she was being chased.
Okay, so the footprints are for sure hers. Like
Well, I mean, I don't know for
they're
sure, but like
but they're
90
of
her
same
size,
size. Okay.
and she didn't have shoes on because they were found in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would say almost without a doubt they were hers.
And then large, most likely male footprints.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so to me, this definitely rules out Audrey being the murderer and then just fleeing.
Well, I
the
mean, she
scene.
can't chase herself.
She can't chase herself. Um, Okay, and so yes, like we said, she was probably only wearing at the very most a slip and a bra. Okay, authorities did say, I didn't even write this in my notes, but I just remembered it, that there was one set of tracks, like tire tracks, like it was a motorcycle that had pulled up. There wasn't like two tires. But then how is he going to take her? In my mind, like how do you take someone on a motorcycle?
You
Unless
incapacitate them and then just like hold to
flip them
them.
over? Oh, I don't know.
Or
It
they
seems complex.
or they murdered her in the bayou and
That's true.
just dumped her body. I don't
Yeah. I guess
fed her
there
to an
are
alligator.
ways.
I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like in Louisiana, especially because a couple of cases that I've researched thus far about Louisiana, the terrain and the weather there is so unforgiving when it comes to like decomposition. There's so much predation. The animals there alone are like
Yes.
they will
Gators.
destroy. Yeah, they'll destroy. But I mean, not just gators. Look at
I
the
know.
fish. Look at the birds. Look, there's so much wildlife there that they will take a decomposed anything and destroy
Yes.
all evidence. Then you've got the unforgiving rains. Well, I mean, could have washed anything anywhere.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so police receive a tip about a man that could have information about what happened to the couple. And this was like on November 28th of 1956. So it's just a couple of days after the investigation gets going. This man was only referred to in the articles as the moss picker. Okay, I'm assuming that's his job. At first, I thought it was his name, and then I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
I guess he wanted to be anonymous, and this is how they
Yes.
declared
So
that.
this moss picker guy, he lived in a tent only a few hundred yards from where the couple were parked. So they brought him in on the 28th for questioning.
Sure.
He was an
I mean-
elderly dude.
Okay, but I mean, like, he probably should have heard a gunshot.
Gun. Oh yes, yes. So they kind of asked him about like, where he was at, if he owned any guns, blah, 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 blah. And he happened to own a shotgun. All right. And so he brings in the gun with him and everything like that.
I was like,
What?
was it conveniently missing?
No, not on this one. So he brings it in and everything, but he does tell police that he shot it like a week ago. So of course they could tell if the gun had been recently shot. And
Yeah, but if he shot it a week ago, that's
Okay, but
recent.
I don't know what the time frame is. This was probably, what was it, like 4 days later?
Yeah, but I would assume that even if he shot it a week ago, what they're looking for is a decent amount of like gunpowder residue that hasn't been cleaned off the gun or, blown off the gun or dusted off the gun or whatever. So I feel like between a week and 4 days even that's not a very big window for that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they did take the shotgun and process it and see if they can determine if it was the same gun. I honestly have no clue if this type of forensics was available back in the 50s.
Oh,
Like,
maybe not.
I can almost guarantee it probably wasn't. Like, you know how um they can actually nowadays they can like tell, oh, this shell casing came from this gun because there was a knot in it or a nick or
Yeah,
whatever.
ballistics.
Yeah, I doubt that happened in the 50s.
I mean, if they might have been able to compare it like with blind eye or under a microscope. I don't think it's obviously not as detailed as we can get in these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. So, really nothing came from that interview, and the moss picker was free to go. So about 2 weeks after the murder of Thomas and the disappearance of Audrey,
Mm-hmm.
Audrey's ex mother in law, okay, so this was her husband she no longer's with, mom. She received a call from someone who she swears is Audrey. And on the phone, this woman said, "Mom," and this is what Audrey would call her mother in law. They were pretty close. And so she said, "Mom, I am in trouble and need help." And then, like, as they were like, she was asking her, like, "Where are you?" The call hung up. All right. So police were actually able to trace this phone call to the French quarters in New Orleans. And then they started like kind of walking the perimeter, asking like if anybody had seen this lady or whatever. And they went into this one cafe, and a waitress states that she saw Audrey and recognized her because she had seen like her pictures around
Mm-hmm.
because of she was missing, and swears it was her. And she said that as soon as the waitress started staring at her, trying to like determine like, oh, is that her? Kind of that the woman who was like really disheveled and dirty, she just up and left without eating her food. So that's a little sus.
Hmm.
Like I don't know what to make of it. I mean, we know human witnesses. I mean, not that there's any other type of witnesses, but um, witnesses are not always credible. But like, I don't. It's so hard. Like I don't know whether to believe.
So,
I
like
mean,
the
I don't think.
phone call gives me like the same kind of vibes that we got when we covered LaQuanta Riley's story.
Mhm.
But the fact that someone's saying I saw someone
In the area that the
in
phone
the
call came from,
area, yes,
is kind
that
of like,
seemed distressed.
yes, I agree.
How are there a bunch of missing people there? Is this, are there a lot of homeless people that seem distressed, or are there a lot of, I mean, is this a common occurrence in this area?
I would doubt
Obviously
it.
not, because she remembered.
I know. That's what I think too. I'm like, so like at face value, I would believe them.
Yeah.
Like the mother-in-law knows her voice. Audrey had a Californian accent. And
Mm-hmm.
so she didn't talk like everyone else around there. And so she believed the fact that she called her mom, even though it was her ex mother in law, first of all. Second of all, that accent, she's like, that is her. Kind
Mm-hmm.
of makes me believe that it was really her. Like, there
Right.
was also another report that around that same day that the phone call came in, when police were doing their like going house to house,
Mm-hmm.
this like kind of bed and breakfast place that had a room for rent, they stated someone that looked exactly like Audrey came there trying to rent a room. um and something happened and she ended up not coming back. But yeah, isn't that great? Like, that's a lot of coincidences to be on the same day that the call came through.
I would say too many
Yes.
coincidences.
Yes. Okay, so next, what we have. I mean, obviously, nothing really came of that after they got all that information. They didn't find her then or anything. All right. So in March of 1959, so we got a couple years, police, so all this time, really nothing. The case is kind of cold. There's no new leads, nothing really happening. And police end up searching for a pistol in a canal near La Place. All right. I know what you all are thinking, that I had said that Thomas was murdered with a shotgun. Well, yes, he was murdered with a shotgun,
Yes.
but a pistol was stolen out of Thomas's car that day that he was murdered. And authorities believed a man by the name of Edmund. Dew, I think his name is Duhe, threw the pistol in a canal after he shot this other woman by the name of Leonie
Okay.
Martinez.
I have questions.
Okay. All right. Ask me.
So one, how do they know that the gun was taken out of Thomas's car?
They don't. So this is kind of how it happens. So this dude, Edmund, is gets arrested for shooting this lady Martinez.
Okay.
Martinez was sitting in her car while her husband was fishing at that same lake that Audrey and Thomas were at in La Place. Okay.
Okay.
So she was shot through the window and everything like that. She was shot in her shoulder. He started to try to open up the door and she laid on the horn. Good for her. So her husband hears this commotion. He jets back to her. They get the license plate of the car that this Edmund guy is driving. They go straight to the hospital. Police come. They know it's Edmund within a few days.
Okay.
So they pull Edmund in for questioning and, interrogation and stuff like that. And they're like, okay, where's the gun that you shot her with? And he's like, oh, it's a pistol that I stole. That's what he tells police. And he's like, and he doesn't really say who he stole it from. He says he has nothing to do with any other crime or anything like that. But he said he threw the pistol into this canal. So then police go to this canal and they're searching for this pistol because they knew that Thomas had a pistol in his car and it was missing.
Okay.
Does that make more sense?
Yes.
Kind of how all of this transpired.
And I bet I bet the police officers that were working in the 50s really wish they had those YouTube magnet fisher people.
Yes.
Now.
Because
they have found so many guns and so many cars.
Many. Yes. So many cars.
Because they had to drag I'm sure they had to drag the lake then.
They did.
Or maybe scuba divers.
No, I think they did drag the lake. I think that's what I read. Or the lake. But they had many searches for Audrey in that time, in that few years in that lake. And then the canal, they went through and swept it, trying to find this gun because they wanted to tie it to the actual murder. So Mrs. Martinez made it. She just got shot in her shoulder. You want to see me if I got shot in my shoulder?
Right? I would be like a hot mess, screaming around. Yeah.
So this is kind of how Edmund came into play. Mm-hmm. Okay, so of course now they have him arrested for attempted murder, and now they get search warrants. So they are searching his vehicles, and they find women's purses, a few of them, and one of them happened to match Audrey's purse. However, it's a black cloth purse, I think they said. So, oh my God, that's
so
I have
every woman has one of those.
Exactly. So
did it have anything inside of it? Was her wallet, so the things that fell out?
It was only the purses that he had. He didn't have.
I thought maybe another one he had stuff in, and hers was just empty.
I don't know for sure. I guess there could have been stuff, but they couldn't specifically identify that was Audrey's purse at all.
Got it. Did they check his shoe size or his boots?
I would hope they did. I didn't read anything about that.
Okay.
So in his vehicle, there was purses. There was a bunch of this. This is not funny, but it's funny. A bunch of pornographic literature is what it says in this article.
Oh, so they had Playboys or Hustlers or
that's all I thought of. And the way that it was written out is so different than how things are written today. Yeah. Literally, I don't think that's. You say pornographic literature, in my mind, I go to Playboys just like you did. So nothing crazy scandalous. Otherwise, but maybe they just couldn't say that back then. If it was something a bit more crazy.
Did they have crazier things than the Playboys in the 50s?
There's sickos everywhere.
But
I'm talking about
it wasn't videos were a thing.
Yeah, not videos. I'm talking about maybe sexual assault pictures or
maybe
pictures from
Yeah,
like people
okay.
tied up or like that they were held captive.
Okay. But
That's
see,
where
like,
I'm like,
I guess when you say literature, I'm like, there's got to be articles there.
yeah, okay, okay.
And that's
We
where my
will.
brain works.
That's what I thought as well. But the fact that the article said a considerable amount, and I was like, well,
Oh,
that's
so he had a collection of
he had a
them.
collection. But I'm like, well, that's an opinion because my considerable amount might be totally different than your
It
considerable
is.
amount.
That is open to interpretation.
Totally. And I literally laughed when I read that. And I was like, oh my God, Melissa, you're reading too many articles about death. So, yeah, so they kind of found all this. There was also a shovel, gloves, and binoculars in his vehicle. So, obviously, in my mind, this guy was up to no good.
Which that's the start of every serial killer's kill kit.
Every, yes. He did confess to obviously shooting Martinez, which I don't think he could have got out of that because the husband literally wrote down his license plate and she saw him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That would be a difficult one to shake.
Yes, exactly. So he always, for the first part of all of this interrogation and everything, he said he had nothing to do with Audrey's disappearance. He had nothing to do with Thomas's murder.
Mm-hmm.
This is another weird thing about Edmund, though. He actually volunteered in the search for Audrey.
So now he's inserting himself into the investigation like
Sure is.
psychopaths do.
Yes, like to me, this is just crazy. So another thing, sorry, this just keeps piling up. It's all circumstantial, so it really doesn't mean anything. However, it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's painting this target or painting this big fat picture
Yes.
that he could have had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he also told police in 1956 he did have a shotgun, but he lost it sometime in 1958. Yep,
That's also very convenient.
exactly. He was also issued 2 polygraph tests and he failed both.
Which this is a day and time when polygraphs were like the go-to.
The go-to.
If you failed it, you're guilty.
Oh, just wait. There's something else that I'm like, what the heck?
There's more.
There's always more. Okay.
There's always more.
So as questioning obviously continued with Edmund because of all this circumstantial, police keep on him. So now we're getting to like April, so like a month later, it's still going on. He does plead, or yeah, I already told you guys, he did plead guilty to Martinez's shooting Martinez. But then law enforcement give him some type of truth serum. Yes. Okay.
For those listening, I just did the whole face palm like emoji motion.
Yep. So truth serum. And while he was under this truth serum stuff, he did confess that he murdered both Thomas and Audrey. Okay. Take that for what you want. I obviously that cannot hold up in any court, even back in the 50s.
Yeah, even in the 50s, they were like, you did what?
Yeah, bro.
You gave him what?
Yeah.
Did you have his consent or did you just stab him?
Yeah, or be like, oh, here's a Coke for you, bro. Drink it up. And like, I don't even know if it comes in liquid. I'm assuming a serum is kind of a liquid.
If it's a serum, I assumed it was like an injection.
Oh, I don't know. Or I've never had truth serum. We're going to have to look that up. I don't know.
Me neither.
So while he's confessing to the murders, he tells authorities that he obviously shot Thomas there. He buried Audrey at a local trash dump. So authorities took a bulldozer out there and they had all these volunteers out there to search and literally came up empty-handed. So yeah, so he never was even charged with those murders because obviously they had nothing they had literally nothing of substantial evidence. He ended up serving like 10 years for the attempted murder of Martinez. Never charged with anything else. He did get out, and I think, oh gosh, I didn't write down the date, but he's already passed away by now. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next suspect.
Hold on. So the United States use scopolamine that was originally invented for women in childbirth to answer questions accurately, even when in a state of twilight sleep.
Are we talking like who the baby daddy is, or what
I
are we talking?
guess.
What do you need to ask us?
I guess. He even arranged, this doctor arranged to administer scopolamine to prisoners in the Dallas County Jail, of all places,
Huh.
who were believed to be guilty.
Like what? Okay, I'm still on the what in the world do you have to ask women while they're in childbirth? Like
So
what's the
that's
need?
one. I don't know. That's one. I don't know what questions you like. There's other things going on during then. You don't need to be asking them
I ain't
questions.
answering anything.
But here it says the CIA, which now we're screwed because they're coming for us. So here's the end of the podcast. The CIA.
It was a good run, guys.
It was. The CIA would use LSD
Oh, I heard that.
in the 1950s and 1960s. So
I
I don't
wonder-
know what this guy was given, a little bit of scopolamine or some LSD, but
Oh crap.
Yeah.
When was the scopolamine or whatever you said?
Scopolamine?
When was that like invented?
it began in 1922.
Oh, okay.
So I feel
they're
like that's
both
more
around.
likely the option because it had some like testing going on. So maybe then
I
the
doubt
police
they
could use
tested
it.
this crap. Like,
By testing, I mean like they were using it.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay.
mean they were like smart about it.
writing down their scientific
Yeah,
questions.
there was nothing put into medical journals.
No, definitely not. Okay, so next possible suspect.
Mhm.
All right, okay. We're gonna get to the end of this, and I still have no clue who I think.
So
did
this
it.
is like a good old fashioned whodunit.
It is
because we don't know.
very much. Okay. A man on his deathbed by the name of Ernest Acosta, he confessed to his family that his wife Caroline killed Audrey and Thomas. Okay? So he didn't do it. His wife did it. He did help her cover it up and dispose of the bodies, though. And he says that Caroline did this because they knew something about Caroline. Like, okay, he didn't say what, or he didn't know. I don't know. He also told his family that the couple had visited Caroline on multiple occasions before the murders, and it was always like a heated event, and they kind of argued or whatever.
Okay.
And his story. So, shoot, I can't remember when he died. It was even like it was recent, like within the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, let's say.
Okay.
The wife died in the 70s. So she was already gone when he died. So of course they can't freaking ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the perfect person to be like, "Oh yeah, she killed him," if he
Yeah,
had
she
done
did
it.
it. Yeah.
So his story was, of course, he was away from the house and he was visiting his
Of
kids.
course he was.
When
Did they
Caroline,
check his alibi?
I know, seriously. Like, did his kids say? I mean, but it was so long after the kids were like, I have no idea what happened on this freaking Saturday in the morning.
Yeah. They're like, we had pancakes. I don't remember.
Yeah. So he's at his kid's house. He says his wife Caroline calls him, and all he tells his kids, like, he's in a rush and he needs to go help her. And that is when she like called him to tell him she needed help disposing of these bodies because she just shot 2 people. Like, so he actually stated that Caroline had killed the 2 in their house, which totally contradicts
All of the evidence?
All of the evidence.
So this guy is just looking for some sort of cred.
But he's dead by the time this comes out. I mean, he tells his like kids and stuff as he's dying, and then after he dies, his kids come out and say, "Hey, this is what he told us."
Yeah, but I wonder if it's like a really bad game of telephone and he actually told them something different. They heard at
And
home.
especially after all that time from the 50s.
Yeah.
So he probably, I can't remember. I want to say it was like the 80s or 90s that he died. So
That's
been
more
long.
than 20 years ago.
I know. I like to pretend it was 20 years ago. I don't think it was the 80s. Like maybe, I don't know. Now I'm going to have to Google it because it's going to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But it was like way more recent than the 50s.
Yeah. Way more.
Yes. So obviously we know Thomas was killed in his vehicle based on the gunshot, everything. Okay.
Sure. All
Not
the evidence.
at another location, and he was not moved. Okay. So he also stated that he was the one that tied Audrey's body to a cannon, like a Civil War cannon, and dropped it into the swamp. So my thoughts. Wouldn't a cannon be way too heavy for 2 people to lift?
But I mean, like, I would even argue. I guess one, it depends on the size of the cannon.
Okay.
Two, I feel like it would even be hard for them to push.
Yes. Like over rocky, wet terrain, like through the mud to get it into a deep enough area because Louisiana, like it's not just deep right away. It's like
No, it's like marshy and
yes, we're
sticky.
like
Like you're gonna get stuck in it when you're walking in
you
it.
get stuck in it in like a kayak. Like
Yeah,
so walking in it with a cannon would not
would would
be
would be difficult.
yes, exactly. So, yeah, many searches of this lake and swamp area had been done over the years and years, and nothing was ever found. There are theories that this Acosta dude actually did the killings and not his wife. So
Hmm.
keep in mind that the couple was like they were well. I don't ever want to say that Audrey was murdered because we really don't know, even though I'm like 90% sure she was.
Hmm.
But so Thomas was murdered by these people's house. So like they lived out there. It wasn't too far. And Acosta was known to get very, very upset at people that were around his property. And he would like scream at them and actually kind of like shoot in the air to get them to leave that area.
Hmm.
So, I mean, yes, it's plausible. And maybe he was senile at the end of his life and totally forgot how he did it. I don't know. There is one retired sheriff in that area, not the one that was initially on the scene, but a different one. He 100% believes that Acosta is the killer and um, hasn't been, but obviously hasn't had any information to actually prove that because
Yeah.
nothing. So, I mean, he believes it. Maybe he knows more than we do, but he is adamant that it was this dude.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so I don't know, man. This was good. It's a long one. Sorry,
It's
guys.
fine.
There's
Keep
just
on going.
so much. We're almost done though, and this I was saving this craziest. I know, all craziest part to the last. After all of that wasn't as crazy as what I'm about
I
to
was
tell
like,
you.
wait, we haven't already been there.
No, no. And
Okay.
honestly, it could have absolutely nothing to do with this case, but it could. And so I want to get this information out there because it's pretty crazy. It's like a soap opera. So, Audrey, so she told her family about a year before the disappearance that she was going through like a mental breakdown. Okay. And she needed to get treatment in Missouri. Okay. So that is where they all thought she was. And she was gone for like 5 months. So, like, they all believe she's in this, inpatient care getting her mental health treatment, which right
Which
on, go
I
her.
was gonna say, good for her, especially in the 50s, where that's like we don't talk about that. That's
Yes.
hysteria. It's treated with a vibrator. Like we don't
Yes.
do that.
Treated with a what?
That's why vibrators were invented.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Was to create was a
I
cure
know. I
for
thought you said that.
hysteria.
And then I'm like, wait, hold on.
Bring it back.
Rewind.
Bring it back.
Okay. So she goes, well, her family thinks she goes to this rehab place,
Hmm.
but she comes back with a baby.
So
And
she
she
goes to
says,
that pregnant rehab where they ship
yes,
pregnant
she
girls
says she
off.
adopted this baby girl named Jacqueline. Okay. And she says, like, the parents couldn't take care of her and that she could give the baby a good life and like it's this whole elaborate story. So now she comes back with this baby. So she's back in her area. And well, first of all, I don't think any, like, if it was my family and they go off to a treatment facility for some type of mental illness, they better never bring back a baby because obviously some bad choices were made at that time.
Yeah.
So, it eventually came out, obviously, after Audrey's disappearance, that Audrey never went to Missouri, but she actually rented an apartment about a mile away from where she lived with her mom and her children. So she's renting this apartment and she pretended to be out of town for treatment. And Jacqueline is really her biological child. So it was all an elaborate scheme. So no one would know she was pregnant, that she had given birth. And now she says Jacqueline is her adopted baby, but it's really just her baby. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jacqueline was born at the local hospital right there where they lived. And um, Guess who's listed as the father?
Thomas.
Thomas.
Hmm.
Yes. So I didn't mention this part before, but Audrey had a safety deposit box.
Mm-hmm.
And law enforcement, even with a warrant, they could not gain access to this after her disappearance. They had to wait 7 years for like her to be declared deceased, and then they would be able to gain access. So they waited around because they couldn't get anything. They thought, hey, there might be a clue in there.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up getting it after 7 years, and the only thing in it was Jacqueline's birth certificate with Thomas Hotard's name listed as the father. And she actually had checked in to the hospital as Audrey Hotard as well.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now they're like, that would just piss me off. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not victim blaming, but like, that is elaborate.
Yes.
Yes. Very, very elaborate. So after that, literally that was kind of like they're like waiting for that 7 years to hit so that they could maybe have a clue, but it really didn't turn out to be a clue because
Mm-hmm.
they already knew that Jacqueline was her child based on, they obviously probably checked out the mental health facility, realized she was never there. They checked out, they were able to tell she rented an apartment. So literally to this day, they have zero idea. Well, obviously, they probably have an idea, I want to say. They just, nobody's been convicted of it. Now, was this Caroline? Maybe she knew that Thomas and Audrey had this secret baby and she was, threatening to expose them, or maybe this Caroline had something to do with it. And that's where this confrontation started, possibly. Um, I don't know, was it some voyeur that was out watching the couple share these, intimate alone times and wanted to participate? Who freaking knows? Was it the husband or was it the wife? Like, or the ex-husband or the wife? The wife. So after I wrote all of my notes, I read another article and it stated like the wife was so shocked that Audrey and Thomas were having an affair. She stated like she really loved Audrey. She knew her. They went to events together. Audrey actually lived with her for a little bit of time. And she stated that Audrey would never help her with the chores. She would only want to do the work that Thomas was doing. She would go help him all the time. And this wife was just like, oh, that's just kind of how I thought she was. Like, oh, it wasn't suspicious at all.
She's dumb.
Yeah, no bueno.
Nope. Which,
There,
I mean, maybe this is the 50s. Maybe,
yeah.
I don't know. I would, if someone only wanted to do the things my husband was doing, I would have questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to think about like the line of work we're in, even though it's not really work. Like, we question everything. Everything is suspicious. Like, I'm always like, oh, did you try to murder me? Like, I'm just kidding. Was
Melissa's
that an
going
attack?
to therapy after this. So.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
It's cool.
Then there was another article, and I didn't find, there was literally nothing like real about this article. This was like written by almost like a sensationalized magazine type of thing, that this guy swears her Audrey's husband is the one that murdered the guy and Audrey, and he like threw Audrey in the swamp. He said he like met up with them at a bar or something like that, and then he followed him, which was weird to me, and he actually saw the husband kill them. However, this dude was in a mental institution like right before that, and
that's going to affect his credibility a little bit.
Yes, and he was actually let go accidentally before he should have been.
Oops.
Yep, it might get fired for that. But yeah, so like there are so many freaking people that could have done this, that could have played a role in this. My biggest question is, was Audrey alive after that day? Did she call? Did she know something? Did she see something? I don't know.
And where did she go from there?
I don't know. Like, that's my question. Law enforcement do believe that she she was murdered around the same time that Thomas was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they believe that. I don't know. I don't know. I just have so many questions about this one.
Like,
And
did they fingerprint the car?
I hope so. I don't know. Like, it's from the 50s. I mean, there was some decent articles. Like, every time someone else was brought in for questioning, there was an article about it. So
Well, I'm
that
sure
was
this
good.
was like the talk of the town.
It
Even
was
30,000
beyond.
people. I mean, that's a decent sized town, but
But even
that
in
doesn't
like New
happen
Orleans,
every day.
but even in New Orleans, like it was like the whole state of Louisiana, this was like a humongous case for that
Yeah.
time period.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know like we're doing these unsolved cases for a purpose.
They get so
but I hate
freaking
them.
frustrating. They're so frustrating.
They're so frustrating. Yeah. This one is a big deal on Reddit. I tried not to read into all of the theories. I tried to read like the theories from law enforcement mainly, but this one will be a very, very big rabbit hole if you want to go down it on Reddit.
Yeah. Also, if you have a newspaper.com account.
Yes. But then you get the crazy theories like that aren't always in the newspaper that are people are like, oh.
Okay.
Yes. So if you know anything, did you just change that? Or can you do that?
I didn't touch anything.
Oh, shoot. That is weird. The slide just changed on its own, guys.
I don't think I
maybe
did.
this is a sign. All right. So if you know anything about this case, about Thomas's murder or the disappearance of Audrey, please call the St. John the Baptist Parish Sheriff Office. That's a tongue twister. At 985-652-9513.
Okay. I guess I can change the slide. I just hovered my
Did you?
mouse over
I don't
it.
like it. Just changed. And I was like, holy moly. All right. So, all done.
I can. I guess I did it. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're cool. Like, I needed to change it
over.
anyways. I already forgot because I didn't put a highlight
in your
there
notes
to change it.
Yep. Okay.
So, yeah. All right.
So
we'll
that's a crazy Louisiana case.
It's beyond freaking crazy. Like,
now I
just
understand.
Kept going and going.
Yeah, so like now I understand why when you were like, this is going to be a long one. I just found a twist. I was like, okay, can't wait. But now I know why.
Yes. Okay. So at first, when I found out about the whole Jacqueline situation, I only found it on. It wasn't a good source. Okay, let's just say that. Like, it wasn't something that I would be comfortable reporting.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also said it on Charlie Project. And so
that's a reputable source.
Yes. So I was like, okay, now I'll go ahead and put that in there because it really, I mean, that is a big freaking deal. Like that whole situation could cause murder in my mind because so many people are being lied to.
For sure.
So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. Louisiana.
That's Louisiana. It never disappoints with its excitement. So until Wednesday or Wednesday as we call it, no matter where.
No matter who.
I feel like, hold on. I feel like we need a better like intro into that.
I know, because I forget every time.
But it's not like when we did Kindness Only where it's like until next time, Kindness Only. It's like,
okay, so
as always, no matter where we'll go.
Or just remember. What about like just remember no matter?
I like how you whisper it to yourself before you say it out loud.
I know. I'm like, it's going through my brain right now, and I'm trying to think of something, but it'll come to us.
Maybe it's like, just remember we'll be there no matter where, no matter who. I like that. I need to write that down.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, so rewind.
Yep, go for it.
And as always, just remember that we will be there no matter where.
No matter who.